While the law has been in place, but states have been reluctant to implement, is it going to be a damn squib? That's the question on the minds of all our panelists and the ones who are viewing us. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for our speaker come moderator, we've joined by Nimish Gupta, Frick's Managing Director, RICS South Asia. We're also going to be joined, we have Manju Yagnik, Vice Chairperson, Nahar Group and Vice President, Naritko Maharashtra. Unfortunately, she couldn't join us. She's a little under the weather right now. But thank you so much, ma'am, for being part of agreeing on the panel. Ladies and gentlemen, we're also going to be shortly joined by Pradeep Agarwal, founder and chairman, Signature Global Group and chairman, ASSOCHAM, National Council of Real Estate, Housing and Urban Development. He's just going to be joining us in some time. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us already Akash Kohli, founder and CEO, Elante Group, and Tarun Bhatia, chairman, APP Delhi NCR and president-elect NAR India 2021. So thank you so much to our esteemed panelists for joining us today and giving us your valuable time. And now I would pass it on in the able hands of Mr. Gupta for taking it forward, being the moderator with his panel. Over to you.
Thanks a lot, Bhavna. Thanks a lot for doing a grand introduction, and so good to have some young and dynamic personalities manning these panel. Uh, so while we talk about RERA, a subject very close to my heart, I always believe that enforcement of regulation is a very challenging task, not just in India but the world over. Rightfully so, and there are simple reason. There is a simple reason to it, because human resist change. We don't like change, and I always believe that regulation is a necessary evil with an objective to ensure that we streamline standards, improve transparency, and then ensure that we have improvement on compliance to standards, bring confidence and trust to all stakeholders. That's what regulation is supposed to do. And for a country like India, which is on a reform spree, for these reforms to make an impact, regulation should have adequate teeth, which seems to be missing right now. We will talk about it more in our discussions today. So while we are discussing this, let's try and understand what is a good regulation. You might be surprised by this, by me using this term, good regulation. I always believe regulation has got certain amount of goodness to it if it is done in an optimal manner, and if it is basically done while consulting the stakeholders for on-ground realities, which will then pave way for process efficiency, transparency, standardized practices, professionalism, and reduced cost. While we are talking about good regulation, there is an incidence of over-regulation also. Over-regulation will limit the performance while creating stress and conflicts amongst the stakeholder. So as it is stated in the Act, RERA is supposed to facilitate growth and promotion of transparent, efficient, and competitive real estate sector. I repeat, transparent, efficient, and competitive real estate sector. Creation of a single window system, ensuring time-bound project approvals and clearances for the project. Creation of a transparent and transparent and robust grievance redressal mechanism for all stakeholders. So let's talk about few challenges, and I'm going to then invite the panelists to try and share their own experiences also. In my opinion, some of the challenges which I've been witnessing in RERA is very closely related to how RERAs have been functioning independently. The provision of the Act holds significant importance for buyers and investors. However, the issues faced by the developers with respect to multiplicity of approvals and lack of financing avenues, including but not limited to not making the financial agency a stakeholder, a regulated stakeholder in the process of RERA, is a challenge towards the functioning of a smooth real estate market. Cases have come to light where complaints issued against stakeholders are biased and frivolous, which impact the morale and development of the real estate sector. I have been in touch with quite a few developers, despite they trying to. So again, while I'm saying that we all know that developers are not a holy grail, there have been challenges in the past. But and how much time do we want to mull over what has gone in the past? I mean, you can't label everyone, you can't color every developer with the same color, and that's where it is important that we clearly understand and differentiate between a professional developer and an unorganized one. While again, a very important one, and which is something which is the discussion topic of the day today, while most states have notified RERA, each one has formed its own rules with multiple challenges and changes to the RERA, causing inconsistency in RERA practices pan India and thereby creating confusion all across the sector. I am also aware, and I'm sure most of you would be aware, that there is an All India forum which has been created for all RERAs to collaborate. The agenda for them should be to learn from best practices of each other and mistakes as well. There are judgments being given in one RERA, one state RERA, that needs to be basically passed on. And that's where I think it is important that most of them should try and agree to a common open platform which is based on a common minimum implementation program based on data analytics so that we can ultimately achieve benefits of a good regulation. Having said that, it is while we are talking about this common open platform, it can only work if it is based on technology. It is based on sharing of best practices. It is based on a completely transparent approach. So while we are discussing how the RERAs could improve themselves, I would like to invite upon the elite and dynamic panelists over here to share their own experiences of how RERA implementation had been and what do they believe should the RERAs be doing in terms of bridging this state divide amongst various RERAs, and especially if you have to become a pan-India player, how do you make sure that one effort in one particular state is not undone in another state? So Akash, may I invite you over first to basically give us your take on how RERAs have been and what do you think RERA should be doing right now?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nimeshji, for the kind introduction. Good afternoon, esteemed panelists, audience, and my dear friends. I'm Akash Kohli, representing Elante Group, which is an independent developer based out of Gurgaon. We are developing luxurious independent floors in a lot of parts of Gurgaon. Well, I believe RERA is not a complete code to oversee the Indian real estate sector. RERA has majorly been catering to three stakeholders. That is, number one is promoters, like developers like us. Then there are agents, which we call it as channel partners. And then there are allottees, which is the end user customer. So what about the other stakeholders like banks, the other lending agencies, the insurance companies, the local municipal bodies like MCG, the government? So what I believe is that RERA must give ratings to developers based on their track record of the work done in the past, and based on this rating, this should be the criteria for the banks to provide funding to the developers at a very nominal cost. Not only this, what about the government? What is RERA doing at a government level? How is the EDC and IDC being spent by the government, the infrastructure development charge and the external development charge? How is the government spending that? Is there any track of that money? So I have seen so many projects in Gurgaon which are ready, but there are no takers. They're absolutely vacant because the basic necessities like roads, sewage systems, water, electricity, these are not adequately provided in these projects. So what is RERA doing for all these kind of projects? That is my main question to all the panelists here. So RERA must be a wholesome body which should take all the banking and financial institutions, the insurance companies, the local bodies, as well as the government. So that is my take on it, Nimishji. Nimishji, I believe you're on mute.
Sorry, this is the problem of technology. Uh, or maybe your ignorance and not resonating with technology. Tarun, may I request you to please give us your take on how RERA's functioning has been and what can be done right now?
Namesh, thank you. Although a lot of ground has been covered by you and Akash, I'll just talk from the point of view of another stakeholder, which is the real estate agent. Now, uh, there are close to 1 million real estate agents in India, and those for the those who have not really dealt with them, we play a very important role being the link between the promoter and the prospective purchasers. So RERA has looked into the promoters and they have looked at the prospective purchasers. Somehow we have got the raw end of the deal with RERA, and we've been trying to make a point to them. So through again this panel, I like again like to make a point to them. So we not only bring the two parties together, but we also act as a middleman, making representations about the project and the promoter to the purchasers and inducing them to buy the building, apartment, or plot to the best of our ability and to give them best options. And we are often instrumental in the decision making by the purchaser. So till now, our sector was highly regulated. As you said, there are no holy grails in developers. Same is the case with agents. But at the same time, there were a large number of professional agents who got the raw deal. Anyway, so coming back to the first issue what we face under RERA is we have to take multiple licenses if we are operating in different markets. Now, for example, we are based out of Delhi NCR. So to work in the states of Delhi, UP, Haryana, Rajasthan, because you work in Delhi market, you work in Gurgaon market, Faridabad market, which is Haryana, Gurgaon, Faridabad. Sometimes you do transactions in Bhiwadi, which is Rajasthan, and you deal in Noida, Ghaziabad, so that is UP. So we have to take registration at four different states. So we are part of the panel which was formed to look at the problems being faced by RERA. This was formed last year, and NAR India got a representation there. So we represented to them that we need one nation, one license. Most of the RERA chiefs who were present there, prominent members of RERA, they also agreed that yes, this can be worked upon. But till date, nothing has happened. Now we are taking up the entire thing again with the Ministry of Housing. Then secondly, they have different registration fees for every state. As low as 10,000 to as high as 2.5 lakhs. So in case I have to take it for four states in my company's name, I may have to shell out 10 lakh rupees in this market just for a license fee. And what is the benefit they give us for this license fee? Nothing except for being regulated and us being penalized. There is no benefit to realtors. I'll tell you, such as there's a section 10C1 of the Act. I don't know how many of you know that. It says that a real estate agent will not involve himself in any unfair trade practices or making any false statement, whether orally or in writing. So, in case tomorrow a client goes to RERA and says that this gentleman made an oral representation to me, still they can penalize us or they can ask us to come and give our point of view, which is so absurd. I mean, if there's nothing in writing, anyone can just come back to us with anything, any untoward charges they can come. Secondly, we don't get any protection of our right to charge fees for services provided. So once there's an agreement between the promoter and the promoter knows what he has to deliver, the client knows what he has to pay. But who guarantees our fees if we do the transaction? Nothing. RERA gives us no guarantee on that. At the same time, if it is proven that we did not act in a proper manner, then there is a penalty of up to 5% of the cost of the property, whereas or 10,000 rupees every day coming up to 5%, whereas the brokerage is 1 or 2% we get, but we can be penalized up to 5% of the cost of the property. Similarly, the compounding fees also that can go up to 10% of the cost of the property. So imagine if I'm doing a transaction where my only revenue is 2%, but my penalty can be 10%, five times of that plus imprisonment of 1 year. So these are certain challenges which real estate agents face. We had tried to represent it to the government. Apart from whatever inefficiencies these RERAs is in terms of operations, we feel there's a big lacuna in the way this act was drafted. And once we go back to them to change these things, they hide behind the fact that this is the central act, we have to get it changed in Lok Sabha and all that. But whatever it is, an act is, the Income Tax Act has evolved since independence till now with so many amendments. We just hope that the RERA Act also undergoes the same. I hope I'm not taking too much time. Back to you, Nimish.
No, perfect, Tarun. I think that actually sets the scene really well in terms of being able to evolve. And I think RERA, first of all, there has to be recognition at RERA's end that they need to evolve. The first act was drafted because there was so much of harakiri going in the market. Whether and Tarun, you have rightfully said, it was not just developers, but all the stakeholder in the process actually exploited the system. And in that case, at the receiving end, these were basically the allottees. But what has happened when the act was drafted? It was drafted so lopsided in favor of allottees that the common sense and assuming that when things ease out, when developers start behaving and Akash, you may know this, but there is already a 30 to 40% consolidation in the developer space, and it is going to be as good as maybe 70% of unorganized player or unprofessional players. So when you're looking at a process already DVDing some of those unprofessional ones, I think RERAs also should evolve into trying to adopt a better regulated professional. As you pointed out, Tarun, if your penalization is 5 to 10 times of your fee, then what is that you are going to do? I mean, does it make sense for you to be in business at all? And especially when the image and Tarun, I call brokers a transaction agent or property consultant or transaction consultant, because there is a consultancy, there is an advice which you are giving rather than just acting as a mediator. I don't want to call you a media a person who's basically acting in the middle. No, you're not acting in the middle. You are the right advisor to the allottee and to the developer also, which is where the recognition of professionalism at that first point of contact, which is a transaction agent, is extremely pertinent and important for not just RERA, but for the Ministry of Housing to consider and put that as an amendment, immediate amendment, when the next session of Parliament happens. I think this will be a big service to the nation when we want to talk about it.
Nimish, to add to this, none of the professions, the professional fee is restricted. You can, as a lawyer, you can charge anything. As a doctor, you can charge anything. As a chartered accountant, you can charge anything. Now, recently, Haryana RERA, they took out a rule that a realtor in Haryana, registered under Haryana RERA, cannot charge more than 0.5% from the buyer and the seller. Now, just imagine. So, despite our credentials, despite whatever we bring on the table, today to get a lead, we are spending close to 0.5%. If you have to
I
generate a
agree.
good lead, and now you're
From
restricting
digital
our,
marketing.
yeah, to market with the digital marketing or print media, or there are so many other ways of marketing your services. To get a good lead, we if we raise say 10,000 leads, only 100 actually call you up, only 10 land up in your office to see a place, only one or two may finalize out of that. So you're already spending more than that on just getting the lead, and then restricting our brokerages to 0.5%, which is totally absurd. I mean, tomorrow you can come out say that okay, developers cannot charge this much per square feet. I mean, why are you coming into that domain? Your domain is to regulate the sector that nothing wrong goes with the promoter or with the client or with the agent. I mean, uh, there is no way that you can, my fundamental right, I can charge whatever I want if the client wants to give it to me. So the such an absurd rule, then suddenly it comes out of the blue, and then you have to fight for a basic right to survival. If this rule is implemented, I'm sure out of the 1 million realtors who are serious about this business, there'll be not even 5% left, because we can't operate. We are not here to give
So,
services, give our time,
so
and then spend
Tarun,
money.
let's talk about this. A very interesting situation with the anarchy in RERA system. And Akash, I will come to you also immediately after this. With the anarchy in RERA system, it's both an advantage and a disadvantage. Advantage in the sense because none of the RERAs are learning from other RERAs. So hopefully this 0.5% thing will remain a Haryana thing and it will not flow to others.
No, not necessarily, because there are regional conferences where all of these RERA chiefs keep meeting and keep exchanging notes. Secondly, this has already gone to the other markets. This is already being discussed in the other markets. So they're just, it's a wait and watch as to what the Haryana
Oh my
realtors
God.
will do. So, but at the
Oh,
same time, I think it's completely absurd to restrict someone's income. I mean, how can you restrict someone's income in case he's charging 1, 2, 3, whatever percent he's charging? Tomorrow you'll come out with the rule that a developer cannot charge more than say 3,000 rupees on this road. Then will the developers sit quietly? It is their product they
right.
want to sell. If someone is willing to buy, your role is to see when a transaction happens, it happens smoothly, not the commercial aspect of it.
Absolutely.
You can talk about penalties, you can
Absolutely.
talk about interest, but not at what you can charge, what you cannot. But we'll take it
So
to the
Akash, if
we'll
I
take it to the
go,
logical conclusion. Sorry.
absolutely, absolutely. So Akash, if I just pick that point up on the transparency and governance by RERA, what is your take on what RERA needs to do to promote transparency and proper governance? And how important is basically data for this? So let's say Tarun just mentioned 0.5%. Does RERA have the necessary data? How much how many properties are being sold at 1%, 2%, and what is the going rate for each one of these things. So is there a data analysis which is happening at RERA's end so that most of the RERAs can come to a common minimum platform?
Nimishi, continuing to what Tarunji said, that absolutely right. RERA should not, limit the income of a developer or a channel partner, for that matter. Rather, what I feel that they should do is they should have a proper system of an exam, maybe for a real estate consultant, like what we have in USA. So in US, if you are a certified real estate consultant, you're supposed to give an exam and pass it too. So when it comes to Haryana RERA, I think all you need is a PAN card and Aadhaar card to get a real estate certification. So
That's
it is
true with
very
all
easy.
RERAs, by the way, Akash. All
Absolutely.
RERAs do
So
it that way.
absolutely. So it is very easy for a maybe a freelancer to get a RERA certificate, and of course then he is very satisfied with maybe 0.5% or maybe 1% as his income, because he does not have any expenses. But a professional consultant like Mr. Tarun Bhatia, he cannot survive with 0.5%. So rather than I would say limiting his income, I would say RERA should focus more on getting the right kind of people in the market through the various exams. And now coming back to your question, to promote transparency, what I feel is that all the promoters who are they should update the details of the registered projects along with their blueprints. So they should have a quarterly update on the number and types of apartments on plots which they have booked in a particular quarter. So if a quarter has gone by, so every developer should actually come up to RERA and tell them how many apartments they have actually sold and what is the type of the units that they have sold. And not only that, they should also quarterly update the approvals that they've already taken and that they're yet to take for their ongoing projects. So supposedly if they have got the CC certificate from the government, but they're yet to receive maybe another certificate, so they should upload this on the RERA so that it is more transparent for everyone. So with all this data availability, once the market will yield numbers, all the major stakeholders will accept these numbers because of the financial backing by the government data. So that is what I believe in the whole matter. Back to you,
Thanks a
Nimishji.
lot, Akash. You actually raised a very pertinent point, which is where I'll go to Tarun now. Tarun, is there a role for accredited professional today and recognition of them in future? Because Akash did mention a point around qualifying exams. And I know for sure, I don't want to name the RERA body over here, but we all know which RERA body we are talking about. There was a course which was happening for 12 hours, only 12 hours, wherein a person would try and give them a complete rundown. And most of these people will basically share their experiences rather than knowledge. And after 12 hours, you will get a certificate that you are an accredited professional. Tarun, you know that you yourself have put yourself up for 440 hours program by RICS, and that at your kind of a knowledge base, you're still willing to learn, you're still hungry to basically try and become truly professional. What do you think should RERAs be doing, and where do you think your dialogue with government bodies with respect to recognizing accredited professionals in this space is going on?
He rightly said there is no entry barrier for a real estate agent in this country, as Akaji just put it. Anyone with a car, with a mobile number, with a PAN card and Aadhaar card can just register, pay that fees, and become a realtor. But there is so much to learn. I mean, as you NAR India along with RICS has launched this program where the average experience of a participant is about 20 years who are part of this program. And every day in every session we are learning so much. In fact, when the exam time comes, we all fret. I have 28 years of experience and I'm fretting when the exam time comes for RICS, because there is so much to learn. There is no age of learning. That 40 is the new 20, I'll say. But the thing is, the RERA today, they have only looked at penalties. They have only looked at how the transaction can happen, but they're not empowering the promoters or the real estate agent to do the transaction in a transparent and a smooth manner. So we have been representing to RERA that allow us as NAR India to make courses which can be, as an entry level course for realtors, and you can grade realtors based on whatever qualification they have. Like a doctor has various qualifications. I mean, that is a long way to go, but at least let's get started somewhere. Let's have an entry barrier course where we teach them not in a 12-hour, but maybe a month's course where the basics are given out. Now today, a client will not know which realtor is qualified, which is not. Once they go to a realtor, they find he doesn't have the knowledge, but he's still charging them the fees. They'll come back to the social media and blast the entire industry. And we all get painted with the same brush. So they have had a bad experience, which they should not have had, but they went with someone and they had a bad experience. So there is no entry barrier. So we've been representing to the government that please let us do it. In case you don't want us to do it, you guys please do it, and we'll support it fully. We are 50,000 strong in NAR India. We'll ensure that people sign up and do these courses. Who doesn't want a government accredited course to be on your card or on your credentials? So we are still a long way to go. We just hope it gets started. The first step the government should take, even that has not been forthcoming. So
So Akash,
there is
if I
huge.
am
Yeah.
sorry,
No, back to
yeah,
you,
Tarun.
Ramesh.
So Tarun picked up a really valid point on rating of the developers also and rating of the agents also. Akash, and you remember we were talking about rating of projects and rating of developers. So what is your take on RERA with that kind of data being available with them? Why can't they create a rating system? Why can't they create a kind of a ecosystem which helps an allottee take the right decision? They should get attracted to a project which is actually going very well. They should get attracted to a developer who has a great reputation of delivering and someone who's actually going great guns with his project. So what is that? What is that which is stopping RERA from creating a rating system across the stakeholders chain, whether it is developers, whether it is project, or whether it is property agents for that matter?
Nimishji, very nice point, and it's such a basic and a valid point. I mean, even if you open a basic, app like a Zomato, you see rating of all possible restaurants in your area. So it's such a basic thing that any governing body should do. That there are about 500 developers who are registered under RERA in Gurgaon, and why can't you rate them? You can rate them from maybe half a star to maybe a 5 star. So it is such a simple thing to do, and it will become so easy for the buyers to come to the right developer, so the buyers won't be cheated. It will be so easier for the channel partners to choose the right developers to market and sell their products. That will be very easy for them as well, and overall it become a very neat and clean and an easy system, and it's such a basic and an easy thing to do. You have all the data, you have all the access. Why can't you do a basic rating system? So
Akash, मैं बताता हूँ why are they not able to do it, and there is a simple reason why they are not able to do it. If you ask, and I'm sure Tarun and you both will agree with me in this case, if you ask a RERA person in a particular state that of the number of projects which they have, which could be in thousands, by the way, which could be in thousands, 2000s, 5000s, depending upon which state they are talking about. If you ask them a question, can you give me a list of projects which are having corona? Can you give me a list of projects which are having cold, common cold? Can you give me a list of projects which are having their kidney failing? Can you give me a list of projects which are on ventilator? And can you give me a list of projects which are on the final stages of dying right now? They don't have the data with them.
yeah.
They don't have that wherewithal, possibly because they have not invested in a kind of data analytics, kind of monitoring system, which helps them do it. Now, to be fair to RERA bodies, given the number of people they are, 15, 20, or possibly 30 in a RERA body, how can a 30-member body, which is supposed to take care of dispute resolution, which is supposed to take care of customer interest, which is supposed to take care of the pressure which is coming from the bodies, which is supposed to take care of the pressure which is coming from the allottees, be able to send those 30 people to, let's say, 3,000 odd projects and understand which project is doing how? So I think that's where the basic challenge is. And to avoid those challenges, you have to have eyes on the ground. There has to be professions. And in other worlds, in the developed worlds, regulation works through accredited professional. Akash, you brought that point really well. Why can't you actually have qualifying exams? And then of that qualifying exams, ethics could be one of those important characters which needs to be tested, so that a person who is going and doing an assessment is actually being held responsible, like the way chartered accountants. And we recently heard a case wherein a chartered accountants, some of the cases which have happened in the recent news items, they've been referred back to ICI to take some actions on them. There could be a mechanism. I mean, when Tarun says I can be penalized by 5 to 10% of my fee, sorry, 5 to 10% of the project cost, or 5 to 10 times of my fee, and be imprisoned also, which means the regulation is supposed to play a part in managing the behaviors. But at the same time, there has to be common sense. That's where I believe things have gone wrong, with RERAs not being able to adopt technology fully. All they have done is created a website so that people can dump the information, which goes out like a vomit. People, whether it makes sense or not, it really, I mean, nobody's bothered about it.
Nimishji, also I would like to, just take your viewpoints on what RERA is doing to, push government for all the basic necessities, which I pointed out earlier also, because I can see a lot of projects in Gurgaon, even Noida, which the projects are ready, the building is ready, but there are no occupants. The occupancy is not even 10%, 15%. Why? Because the road is not there, the electricity is not there. So why aren't these concerns also, RERA is handling with the government? Why only they are only after the developers to complete the projects on time? So even if the project is completed on time, but then there is no road, or there is no highway, or there is no electricity or water, what is the point of being ahead of time and just constructing a, just constructing a building, I would say.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Akash. We just discussed this, that while we are looking at a single window system, RERA should really become a single window system of approval so that everything happens there. I mean, you are being held responsible for the time, cost, and quality of your project, but at the same time, these authorities, as you rightly identified, those multiple agencies should also be made responsible or responsive stakeholders in this entire process. Tarun, if I can come to a simple question over here, and you talked about penalties over here. Why is RERA not fully equitable? I mean, the penal provisions for promoters, for real estate agents, and for allottees also are completely different. For promoters, they are adequately defined. For agents, they are adequately defined, but they are not. They are loosened enough for allottees, so that allottees sometimes they use it for their own this thing, which is where RERA comes as a consumer bias, rightfully so, because real estate, for so many decades, it was an industry which was not behaving very well. If a standard agreement for sale is used, does it limit the rights of the promoters and allottees from legal practices, in addition to the fact that it is suggested to be favoring the allottees?
See, there's a background why RERA came in the picture. So a lot of, I'll use a very strong word, a lot of atrocities the purchasers have faced over the last 2, 3 decades in India. So the genesis for this law was to protect them. So obviously, when the first draft came, it was very, very client centric, very, very customer centric. At the same time, I think the customers were fortunate that the body which represented them made their points very, very well to the RERA authorities. When the Rajya Sabha members were, moving around this country in the 2015 and 2016, taking feedback from all stakeholders, at that time I think the client's body made their points very, very well to them, and rightly so. They were at the receiving end of a lot of things from developers and agents. So the first draft came, which was very, very customer centric, and I think RERA has done a great job in getting that balance back. Otherwise, in this industry, the balance was only towards developers. I mean, they could do anything and get away with it. I'm sorry to say that, but I have been around for a long time to make that statement. They could get away with murder, and the client, even if he defaulted for one payment, his tiny payment rebates were not given. He was charged atrocious interest rates. When the buildings were handed over, they were not in a good state. So RERA has restored that balance, but sometimes it becomes overbalanced. So as I said in the opening remark, every act has to go through different amendments. I'm sure with the rising number of complaints where the RERA authorities also can see that the developer is not that wrong and the client is taking advantage of the law, which already Maharera has given some judgments to that effect. With passage of time, there will be amendments which will make it more balancing. This act will become more balanced towards developers and agents also. But having said that, I think this was the need of the hour back then. And with the requisite amendment, this can be a very, very good act, provided they implement it well, and they have the control over developers and clients. At the moment, I feel the government is not able to control this act. As we said, every state is giving their own judgments. Some states even they don't have the orders are passed, but they are not implemented by the developers. So the teeth is missing also in some states. But with the right kind of direction, which I hope the government is working on, this can be a very good act. The See, this act will act as a catalyst for our industry. Today, a lot of people shy away from investing. They'll go to mutual funds, they'll go to stock markets because they are better regulated, but they have no knowledge about them. They're from hearsay. They'll invest millions of their savings in those sectors. I'm hoping that when this act becomes more mature with more balancing done, that kind of money can come not only from domestic investors but from international investors also into this sector, which will be good for every stakeholder.
So, connected to that, Tarun, if I may ask, in terms of the regulations on, let's say you talked about mutual funds being properly regulated and so on and so forth. Uh, do you think RERA needs a central command or central spine to make sure that regulation works in a particular way? Because most of the states are running their own, I mean, I won't call it whims and fancies, but the way the RERA acts have been notified in the states, and then there is a local interpretation to it, there is already a challenge with respect to how the common thought process on regulation should be implemented on the projects. So, do you have any take on that? I mean, is there a need for a central RERA authority?
Absolutely, and I think the grapevine is that it's already in the works. They are talking about a central authority where it will be a central database with everything there. See, the genesis again is that Indian state laws are also different. Haryana land laws may be very different from in Karnataka or Tamil Nadu. So they needed those local bodies to look at those specific acts to regulate that sector. Having said that, the first step has been done. The next logical step is to make a central authority, have someone lead it. Still, there will be different state mechanisms working, but have an act which is applicable, like the Income Tax Act is applicable in all states, most of the states, with the same provision, same penal provision, same regulation. So I think this will be again a logical step. At the same time, we have to give them the credit. This is only a 4-year-old act. I mean, 2006-17 it came into ordinance. So uh, I'll say it has done a fairly decent job as well. I mean, to look at the pros also, I think they have done a wonderful job in instilling that fear in the minds of developers that now there's a level playing field with the clients. And I've seen a lot of developers come back to track, and only those will survive. Those who still believe that they can take the customers for a ride, they will not survive for long. So the coming back to your question, yes, the central regulatory mechanism is required, and I believe it's on the works already. Although, I mean, I'm nothing is official about it, but I believe the ministry is working towards that.
So, Tarun, very well said. But when you talk about, let's say, some of the, so it is only 4 year old, SEBI regulatory as a body also took roughly about 10 to 12 years to basically become effective. At the same time, what is actually very important in this case, unless the feedback is taken from various stakeholders in this process, evolution of the act should work towards basically a good regulation rather than over regulation or under regulation. Right now, we have under regulation for some things and we have over regulation on few areas wherein the optimal regulation is actually missing by the RERA bodies. That's what I believe has been happening, which is where the RERAs should have, I think, an elephant's ear to make sure that they are able to listen more from the stakeholders and try and work towards basically coming to a common acceptable mode of act which is adopted and with a smile by all stakeholders in the process. Akash, if I may come and basically talk about one common stuff, and in terms of basically trying to work towards creating a proper resolution system. You know that we have RERA, we have insolvency and bankruptcy courts, NCLT and NCLAT are playing their role. And then we have Benami Property Transaction Act. Now, in addition to that, we have consumer forums, we have civil courts, So there are multiple forums which are available for people to basically use. Now, what I've also seen is a tendency by the allottees to do forum shopping. They take the same matter in multiple areas, believing कि कहीं से तो मुझे फायदा हो जाएगा, कहीं से I will get a favorable response, and I will. Do you have any view on that? I mean, is that something which needs a resolution right now at the thought process level itself? That what is that we should be doing with respect to resolution of some of these conflicts?
So Nimishji, what I believe in this, that a common allottee, जिसने घर लिया है maybe 1 से 1.5 crore का, so he is not very well aware about all the grievance redressal platforms. उसको नहीं पता है कि complaint cell कहाँ जाना है and RERA की office कहाँ पे है. So I feel here he is very confused, scared and skeptical to take a decision that he can fight with the developer. So if RERA will give that confidence to the buyer that we are there and it's a single window, you come to us and we will solve your problem. So that kind of confidence RERA should give, and it should not be on the whims and fancies of the lawyer only. Because normally a buyer only goes to a lawyer and then lawyer decides कि आपको ये RERA में डालना है या आपको ये consumer court में डालना है. So RERA should give that confidence to the buyer that come to us directly or via lawyer, but just come to us. We will take care of your problems. So that kind of, I feel confidence that RERA should give with the buyers.
Thanks a lot, Akash. Since we are actually getting at the fag end of our discussion, I would like to basically summarize it with very enthusiastic tone over here. Given the fact what Tarun just told me about the central RERA authorities, and Bhavna did mention about RERA becoming a damn squib over here because of various states acting in a different way. Unless we have the central spine which dictates how the other organ system should be functioning, you will have a body which is otherwise paralyzed. We need to have a central thinking. We need to have a common thinking in how RERA should be acting. We need to have good regulation rather than over regulation or under regulation. We need to have credence to accredited professional. We need to have credence to knowledge. We need to have credence to how the qualification plays a role at various strata in this. And that's how real estate will basically get its sheen. To pick up on Tarun's point, it should become an asset class which people prefer to invest upon rather than use that as an entity that I need to have a house, but I'll invest my surplus in mutual funds because that's where I feel safe. They need to get the safety net through RERAs, through professional bodies like NAR, through professional agents like Tarun, or through professional developers like yourself, Akash, to make sure that we create a better world for our future generations. Over to you, Bhavna.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta, for moderating it so wonderfully. I was just hearing every single word, and what I would like to say is that in the span of time you've been given, every topic which was discussed definitely did add a lot of knowledge to all the ones who are viewing us live right now. So thank you so much, Mr. Gupta, Mr. Kohli, and Mr. Bhatia. We just request your your presence right now for the awards. We have just certain set of awards which need to be given out, and we'd love your presence there. So please do stick around for the next 8 minutes. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, now we're on track for our award ceremony, wherein we're edging towards the final set of awards, and I'm going to make it very brief and very quick, but also giving the due acknowledgement to all our winners. So, ladies and gentlemen, first up for the Integrated Township of the Year National, and that goes to Runwal Gardens Runwal Group. So, well, the Runwal Gardens is a heritage that would gift to the next generation as it seamlessly weaves convenience, thoughtfulness, and technological innovations amidst a safe and secure environment. Congratulations to the Runwal Group. Ladies and gentlemen, now for the next category, the winner is going to be joining us live, and that is for the most innovative architecture designed residential, and that goes to Siddharaj Infra Private Limited. Siddharaj has made a successful foray in residential, commercial, and retail space with a strong foundation in Gandhinagar. Work of Siddharaj well informed, and the properties are designed in tandem to complement the landscape of the place. We're joined by Ronak Patel from the group. Request him to now join us live on the stage and screen. Congratulations, Ronak. Over to you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. On behalf of Siddharaj Infra Private Limited and VP Architects, I would like to thank 12th Annual Estate Awards for recognizing Z Plus for an award. We have an immense pride and honor to share our project with everyone, which is an example of sheer teamwork of architects, landscape designer, the developer, consultants, and the engineers coming together to achieve something extraordinary. Z Plus is not only a splendid architecture design, but an ideal daily tropical luxurious experience to be at. It has a dreamy resort style ambience to pull multiple outdoor spaces together for a cohesive existence. The overall idea for the design was to connect the residents to the outdoors in such a way that they are physically or visually always connected to the outdoors. Wherever you are at Z Plus, one feels completely rejuvenated, and it is an oasis within the city. Thank you again very much.
Thank you so much and congratulations, Ronak. Huge congratulations to your group as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now moving on to the ultra-high luxury residential project of the year East, and that goes to Orbit Victoria Orbit Group. Well, at Orbit, decisions are guided by the value we cherish the most, which is Rishto Ki Mithas. So congratulations to the Orbit Group. Ladies and gentlemen, for the Marketeer of the Year award, and that goes to Godrej Properties. Well, Godrej Properties has been instrumental in the construction of residential, commercial, and township projects across 12 major cities in India and continues to be amongst the valued group. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now for the Property Management Firm of the Year, and from this, the winner is going to be joining us live, and it goes to Realty Assistant. Well, Realty Assistant aims to help our clients to boost their benefits in the real estate market segment from the residential needs to commercial investment. Well, I'd now request Ankit Aditya, founder, Realty Assistant, to kindly join us on the stage and screen. Over to you, Ankit.
Thank you, Bhavna. First of all, I would like to appreciate and congratulate Franchisee India for keeping up the spirits by hosting the 12th State Awards and Summit in such challenging times due to pandemic, and that too in the virtual avatar and with the same finesse as a physical summit is hosted. I would like to express my gratitude towards the jury for choosing our firm for this prestigious award. We at Realty Assistant believe in the quote that all progress takes place out of the comfort zone. It really motivates our team to work to their full potential. This milestone is achieved by collective efforts and dedication of my team to deliver value over everything to our customers. We feel honored, and I believe with such appreciations, we are motivated more towards achieving heights and being a genuine consumer-oriented property management player globally. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, and congratulations once again, Ankit, on Realty Assistant winning the Property Management Firm of the Year. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now moving on to the next award, which is the Best Real Estate Consultant of the Year, Residential West, and that goes to Ravi Kumar. Well, he says that we're a team of realtors, domain expert consultants, and end-to-end service providers here to help ensure that your enterprise gets a head start. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now for the Corporate Broker of the Year, National, and that goes to Remax India. Well, all they say is nobody in the world sells real estate better than Remax. So we've got that Corporate Broker of the Year, National, going to them. Ladies and gentlemen, now for the most sustainable architecture, design, hospitality, and that goes to Abin Design Studio. Well, Abin Design Studios believe that architecture is an artistic expression. Ladies and gentlemen, now for the final set of awards. First up, Most Innovative Interior Design Award, Hospitality, and that goes to Sanjay Puri Architects. Well, Sanjay Puri Architects, congratulations, the firm that designs dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, now for our next category, which is the Luxury Project of the Year East. And that goes to Navyom PS Group. Well, Navyom Life reimagined big skies, long views, larger amenities, and dramatic greenery. Congratulations to the group. And ladies and gentlemen, just for the last two awards in this set, first up, the Developer of the Year, Retail North. And that goes to DLF India. Well, at DLF, we take pride in an uncompromising integrity in customer engagement and quality assurance that throughout our 73 years legacy, we've made it to our core mission to provide real estate development management and investment services at the highest caliber. And ladies and gentlemen, for the final award in our set, which is the Real Estate App of the Year, and that goes to No Broker. Well, No Broker is a Bangalore-based real estate search portal that connects property owners and tenants and buyers and sellers directly. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with this, we'd like to congratulate all the winners and thank all our panelists for joining us live for this set of awards as well. And thank you for imparting your knowledge today, and congratulations to our winners as well. Thank you so much. So ladies and gentlemen, with this, we're going to be now joined by Mr. Magazine at 4:30 for the valedictory address. We'll see you then. Please join